Good Monday afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network with Donald Eng. I'm Rob Adams, and back in the studio for at least today.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks. It's nice to be back for a day.
You're lucky you're done with the place, you know?
A little paint, not bad. I'm okay with it.
Pretty good.
Bill Bloxham's going to join us as we talk about some of the football that went on over the weekend. In fact, all the football that went on in Connecticut over the weekend. Now, we know that there's, of course, that other lingering topic, and we can spend a minute on it, of course, what happened with the announcement on Friday regarding the FCAC. We're going to get into it more later in the week just because of time being what it is. The announcement that the FCAC is now going to play a 10-game schedule, and again, there is much rejoicing throughout the land.
Well, I mean, I don't know that I would say rejoicing. I think what it was the FCAC just made the decision they had to, which is that they couldn't sacrifice 15 teams for the benefit of 2. They made the best decision they could under the circumstances for the majority of the kids in the conference. It's too bad we lose the championship game, but there's a lot of kids. I mean, in all fairness, it was really a 4-team tournament anyway for the FCAC championships. In this year, it was 2 teams with the top heavy aspect of the league. I think the leaders of the league just felt they couldn't take a game away from that many kids in order to preserve a conference championship game. I mean, we'd all like to have it, but just in the current climate, it was just not possible anymore.
And that's why I put the finger of blame on the CIAC for their approach and the handling of the whole concern over concussion. I get it, player safety and all that, but and again, we'll get into it much more later in the week. Dave Stewart will be here on Wednesday for the show, but there is quite honestly rejoicing, especially a lot of the media guys. And look, I got slammed a little bit for my thoughts over the weekend. That's fine. It is what it is. Some of it personal, so be it. We'll brush it off and call it a day. But we'll talk more about it later in the week. As I said, I do think there's this view that there were only 4 teams involved. And look, I remember Bridgeport Central playing for 2 titles. I remember Trumbull jumping in for a title run. Trinity Catholic has been in the mix to make a title run a couple of times. I'm just saying dynasties are meant to be broken on occasion. It does happen. The Yankees have not won every championship since, the beginning of time. And if we're going to talk dynasties, and this is what we call a nifty little segue, Don, then you're going to talk about Ansonia, because Ansonia played for their 20th championship on Saturday, and oh, by the way, they still have 19.
They have 19. That's the second year in a row, actually, that Ansonia has fallen in the Class S finals, this time to Bloomfield. And we were talking to Bill Bloxham last week, and as I said, we were talking about we were previewing the game, and I said Bloomfield beat Seymour 47-21, Ansonia beat Seymour 35-14. Therefore, by the transitive property, Bloomfield is 10 points better than Ansonia. And Bill said, yes, that's absolutely correct, and you didn't miss by much.
No, I didn't. It was a great football game. It was not as heartbreaking, I think, for Ansonia this year as having the 10-point lead or 14-point lead go away in 5 minutes as it did the year before. Bloomfield came out and basically put their flag in the turf and said, "Can you match us?" And Ansonia did that. They scored their first 2 possessions of the second half to tie things up at 14. Bloomfield comes down, hits a field goal, 17-14, still going back and forth. And then it comes down to a 4th and 2 play, and Rayshawn Phillips, the Bloomfield quarterback, supposed to hand the ball off inside, sees there's too much of a push, gets outside, spins between 2 tackles by this much, if you're looking. If not, it is.
Bill is holding his hands about 4
right
inches
about this
apart.
far apart.
Television replaces television.
Television replaces television. It's about just the nose of the football, and that was it. And then they scored the late touchdown after the way it went. So,
Bill, I was following along from home, and being a New Yorker, I don't get to necessarily watch because I don't have CPTV, so I didn't have their coverage. I guess I could have found a radio outlet since there was some radio. But anyway, all that being said, I was following along online to what you and a lot of guys were writing, and there was a prevailing thought that down 14, maybe Ansonia couldn't make that comeback. Did the comeback to get it back to 14 all surprise you?
Not at all, and it was exactly what Coach Tom Brock had said. He said, the question to him is, what was your thought at halftime down? What did you tell your kids? What did you have to change? What did you have to do? He says, we have to hold our blocks a second longer, or 5 seconds longer. And basically, the kids didn't want to change. They believe in the system, they believe in what they do, and they did it. They drove down the field twice. Once we're over 60 yards, and then the other one after a peculiar Bloomfield, you get it to 14-7, momentum's a little bit moving. Bloomfield faces a 4th and 2 at their own 36-yard line and goes for it. Ansonia's defense stuffs them, goes in and ties the game. Big momentum switch there. But Rayshon Phillips proved to be one of the best quarterbacks that I've seen this season. He won the title last year at Class S before he transferred over with Capital Prep. And now he added Bloomfield in there again. He could basically run and hand the ball. I could run and hand the ball to receivers as good as he can throw at 60 yards into the receiver's hands. Just a little bit too much speed for the defensive backs on Ansonia to play. And the other thing is they were talking about how Bailey and Bagley would get worn down, having to play receivers against them. And Ansonia did a good thing, and it's kind of weird you never saw that. They rested Bagley on offense. 2 different series, he did not come in and carry the ball because they knew he had to guard those wide receivers for Bloomfield. But no, tip your hat to Bloomfield, the better team on this day. Not a bad job by Ansonia in any means. A very, very representative final for the Class S title.
So Class S goes to Bloomfield, the number 2 seed, knocking off number 1 Ansonia 31-20. We mentioned the seeds, Don, but more often than not, the seeds, when you get to the playoffs, when you get to the states, I don't want to say they're worthless because that's not entirely fair, but it doesn't represent what kind of team they are.
No, it really doesn't in a lot of cases. In this case, I think the 2 best teams in Class S were clearly matched up in the finals, the 1 versus the 2 seed. You see that a lot with some of the winter sports coming up. You see that a lot also, where you have to get into the state championship, you need 8 wins to get into the playoffs.
Right.
And you routinely see, like in the basketball tournaments, you routinely see a 14 seed blow out a 2 seed. That's just
Sure.
That's just the nature of the game. I mean, obviously as far as the football goes, with the seedings, the lower seed with the home field advantage, that's where it matters. But yeah, I mean, you're playing a different schedule. You're not really playing the same teams, so there's no real sense of what kind of schedule it is, or you're just going by records. There's no real, qualitative, best team measure that we have, except actually playing the games on the field.
That's all you can do. So congratulations to Bloomfield. They get the victory, knocking off Ansonia. I know we're kind of burying the lead.
Not the same though, without a coach's brawl between a Bloomfield and Ansonia game.
Yes, Coach Outlaw and Coach Brockett were very much handshakes and hugs afterwards.
As I said, we're kind of burying the lead. We'll get to the kind of the 2 games that are the marquee games for this region for what we do in a moment. Quick moment on Class M as well. Brookfield getting their 2nd straight championship win, 21-14. They knock off New Fairfield. New Fairfield is there. New Fairfield is a very, very good team, and I think that's a team that is primed for next year just as much. They are that good.
This game surprised me a lot, actually. I thought New Fairfield coming in on 2 straight shutouts. They were playing as well as anyone in the state, I thought. I picked New Fairfield to win this game last week. In fact, I picked Ansonia also. So much like presidential elections, it's the kiss of death when Don picks you. But yeah, this outcome did surprise me. Brookfield was getting better as the season went on.
Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, it's like, oh well, I'm not even gonna. It's like I'm gonna get in trouble no matter what I say to that. So I'll.
To quote a movie, let it go.
So now, Bill, again, you were watching that game. What were your thoughts on that? The outcome surprised me, but I don't think it surprised you very much.
No, I had picked Brookfield, and once again, 2 peas the same pod. I thought Bobby Drysdale, just did a great job for Brookfield running the ball. They did a very, Zach Tripodi, 2,000-yard rusher for New Fairfield, and they held him to, I think it was like 98, 99 yards. It's nice to be called held to 98, 99 yards in this day and age. But it was a matchup of 2 teams, and the score was going to be 21-14, either one. And I just happened to be on the right side of the Bobcat.
So good job by the Bobcats to get the victory, and they get their 2nd straight championship. Like I said, burying the lead. We'll get to Class LL. We'll get to Class L. We still have a lot to do here on this edition of the program. We'll spend much more time on those 2 games as we move through this edition of Nutmeg Sports. Bill's going to hang around with us. Don is here, and, well, I don't have to leave yet. I get a couple of minutes, so what the heck. I'll stay. Sound like fun?
No lunch date coming up? No.
Oh, no, I need lunch.
Okay.
But that's okay. That's okay. All right, we'll take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we come back, we will get into Class LL, Class L. We also have to look forward to girls hockey coming up here on the HAN Network later today. All that and more when Nutmeg Sports continues for a Monday right after this on the HAN Network.
Here at the Darien Sports Shop, we are very excited about our newly redesigned men's department. Gentlemen, if you're shopping for work, weekend, or wedding, we've got the latest styles and trends. inside our spacious new department just for you. We have vast selections from Peter Millar, Vineyard Vines, Johnny O, Duckhead, Barber, and so much more. And you can even walk out of the store in the new Wolverine 1,000-mile men's boot. Conveniently located with free and easy parking at 1127 Post Road, Darien, Connecticut. Or shop us online at dariensport.com.
It's time to come back to hometown banking, where people are taken into account, not just balances. Where community comes first. A place where there's more than one kind of interest. Where automation will never replace consideration. Where they not only know your name, they know your dog's name too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
This fall for our red panda. That's right. Rashawn the red panda will be visiting the Beardsley Zoo for a limited time. Resembling raccoons, red pandas primarily eat bamboo, but will occasionally eat fruits, berries, young leaves, and certain tree bark, like their better-known black and white cousins. As an adult, Rashawn is expected to weigh 10 to 12 pounds, and you can see him at the South American Rainforest exhibit, Connecticut's Beardsley Zoo of Bridgeport. A whole new experience. 875 Noble Avenue, Bridgeport. 203-394-6565.
I'm Kate Chaplinsky. Join us for Coffee Break, weekdays at 11 to get the latest Connecticut news, weather, high school sports, and more. News doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break on the HAN Network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. A quick professional note. We don't do a lot on here, but I'm just seeing this come across from TJ Quinn from ESPN. MLB has informed Pete Rose he will not be reinstated. Again, this is not a professional sports show, but come on, MLB, get over yourselves. I'm sorry. It's time. 26 years, it's time. Get him in the Hall of Fame. Again, we can't spend too much time on it, Bill, but come on.
It just is. I mean, the only good side, there's been so much publicity about it over the 26 years that everyone, even the younger players, even the younger fans, know who he is. Where you might not have known about him.
He's hardly the easiest person to embrace. And believe me, if he gets in, then I want Shoeless Joe Jackson in. But it's time for baseball.
But everyone knows what a great player he was, and everything else has nothing to do with anything else.
And I think he would have been in a long time ago had he come clean, shown some contrition, and
all true.
He's
really made it very easy for baseball to keep him out.
Every factor that helped him on the playing field hurts him off the field.
Totally agree. I'd just like to see it be in the voters' hands. All right, all that said and done, let's move back into Connecticut football. And, I had this feeling when it came to Darien and Shelton. I thought Shelton had injuries that they couldn't overcome, and that's hardly an excuse. I know that the Gales aren't going to use that as an excuse. Darien, to me, was the best team all year. And I don't think the injuries would have made too much of a difference for the Gales. I still think the Blue Wave would be smiling about a championship. Wouldn't have been 39-7, but I still think they would have won a championship on Saturday.
It might have been 39-17.
Yeah.
Wow. It's hard to give the platitudes this much, and I've been covering football and watching football for all of my years since I can remember, and covering football for 35 years now. And that is one of the best balanced football teams I've ever seen. It's not D-line, it's not linebackers, it's not secondary, it's all three mesh. It's not the running game, it's not which receiver, it's not the quarterback, all three mesh, good kicking game. Now that is the best football team in the state of Connecticut this year by far, and it's a top 10 team of all time, and then we can sit around and argue with it. The Shelton side of it, and kudos for Darien, because now you're beating a program. You're not beating an up-and-coming team. You're not beating a team that had a great year. you are beating a program that knows how to compete for 4 quarters, which they did. So the final score was 39-0, 7 points at the end, but it wasn't a throwaway because both teams were still fighting. All the starters were in. They wanted the shutout. They were screaming for the shutout. Line play. As it always comes down to blocking and tackling, from Vince Lombardi to whoever you want to talk about. Those are the 2 best lines I've seen on one football team and I will say that since I've been covering. Shelton is a veteran team, so all their injuries were in skills. And yes, they missed those skill players, and yes, losing your starting quarterback on the second series of the game, bad.
Right.
Maybe it didn't matter. They outblocked, they out-tackled, they dominated the line of scrimmage. They held them to 124 total yards, a Shelton team that can do both run and pass. With the injury to the fullback, with running back Hurts, not having Huff in there. But Pryor is a good running back. No, Darien.
And a pick 6 right off the bat. I mean, if you're on the sideline or if you're watching TV, you couldn't help but think to yourself, this one's probably over right there.
Just one again, it's one of those timing things that you do, and the rush was already coming, but it was supposed to be coming because it was supposed to be a slip screen. And but you react and you throw. There's no time in a play like that, and the way they were aggressive all the way up. It was right from there. But it wasn't like they pressed from there. It was, 2 touchdowns returns. It's still 18-0 at the half.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And okay, now can they pull an Ansonia? Can they come in and okay? Although they'd already had the ball. So Darien, what Darien did here is They went down and scored on their first possession of the third quarter and their second possession of the third quarter. Ball game.
I can't help but think to myself, Don, why were people not voting Darien as the #1 team in the state? Pretty much all. I can understand maybe on the Southington point. I never felt all season, with no disrespect to the Rams, I never felt that New Canaan was better than Darien, and I felt that all season. I don't have a vote for in any poll, but in the personal Rob poll, it was Darien 1, New Canaan 2 all season.
Right. Well, I think the people that weren't voting Darien 1 were probably voting. They were voting Southington 1. Southington with the 2-year winning streak, essentially 2-time defending Class AA champion. They were voting them #1. We didn't know that they had lots of talent, lots of athleticism, and 0 heart. We didn't know that until we saw them against Darien. But now it was clear, having seen it on the field, it was clear who the best team in the state was.
What happened? I'll just talk about the voting side from who, because we do talk weekly. It's not one of these things. We do email each other back. There's like 20 voters going back and forth saying what they want each week. And then you have your opinions on it. Southington started out the season as #1. I had them #1 until Darien beat New Canaan. Then I pushed Darien up to #1 and New Canaan and Southington. New Canaan I had for probably the first 7 weeks. I don't know what game made me switch it back over to the top. Although I'd seen Darien, and part of me said, yes, they're better, but I hadn't seen New Canaan until that point. And then I said, okay, no, Darien only, once again, balance. New Canaan is the second best team in the state by far. And if they played 10 times, I'd ask the 2 coaches to decide what they think, who's going to win.
Speaking of polls, we do have some interesting poll results to talk about in a couple seconds, but should move on to Class L.
All right, Class L it will be. And for the New Canaan Rams, it is a three-peat as they put really the game of the weekend together, a 42-35 victory as they knocked off North Haven. And the question was, what would the Rams pass-happy, spread offense, what would they do with the, wing T approach of North Haven, the running approach of North Haven, the Indians? And we found out what a shootout we had. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't think North Haven would be able to put up 35 against New Canaan. And if you told me they were going to, I would have thought they would win the game. They would have won the game. This kind of, to me, was more of a thing of like when you watch a game and it's a shootout, you kind of go with the team that seems to be having an easier time scoring. I mean, North Haven with about a 2-1 time of possession, but there were, it was taking them more effort to get down the field than it was taking New Canaan. I never really had the sense that North Haven would win the game, but in the back of my mind, that was always possible, but I never really felt like it was going to happen. But yeah, what a game.
Curiouser and curiouser. How about the fact that North Haven passing yards were equal to or better than New Canaan's?
Right there.
New Canaan's running yards were better than North Haven's. Who would have thunk it? Both coaches, once again, came up with game plans that they needed to what they thought would be successful against that team, which speaks to the programs, the growing program at North Haven, its first state championship berth, New Canaan, and once again, 3 state championships in a row in this state, in those divisions, against these teams, against the schedule you play in the regular season to get there. Hey Lou, enjoy this one again.
And enjoy win number 300.
Exactly, on that day. And the idea that these teams could go outside their comfort zones and still be that good tells you why they are 2 of the top 5 teams in the state.
I can already hear the answer from Lou if we were to ask him what this win means to him. He'd say, I've been around a long time. 300,
Yep.
that's what
Who are your better
happens.
players? I've had a lot of good players.
Michael Collins, 22 of 28 for 179 and a touchdown to Kyle Smith, while, I mean, the running of Matt Cognetta, I had to double check this. 27 carries, 225 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He ran the ball 27 times for 225. Great game.
No, it was a fabulous game. Our game in between Darien and Shelton got over soon enough that I was able to listen to this one on the radio. I was able to watch it yesterday on CPTV in its entirety. Just a fabulous football game. Had the biggest crowd of the day. We had great crowds up at Willowbrook. Great crowds. Big stadium, so it's hard to judge. They didn't give us a number, but it was 3/4 full, I would say. And for both games, I mean, it was amazing. The parking lot coming in for Ansonia, I was sitting there going, if they stay for both, we're in a lot of trouble here. The crowd in West Haven Ken Strong Stadium, overflow. Not so much on the visitor side. It was funny. The home side was full. Visitor side was 3/4, but around the stadium was full, around the fences. Great game. Just Mike, you got Montano going against the brothers. Great football game.
Right. Yeah. They're looking at Twitter. It's a common sentiment that was the game of the year in Connecticut football.
Sounds like it for sure. And as you said, there was a poll, some voting that came out, and kind of interesting.
Yeah, the Register Top 10 final season poll will be out a little bit later on today. I'm just looking on GameTimeCT.com. Mike Pucci has his season-ending Top 10 football ballot, and he has at the top Darien 1, New Canaan 2, as you would expect. Number 3, North Haven. 4, Shelton. 5, Southington. Then Windsor, Weathersfield, Notre Dame, West Haven. Finally, the Class M champ Brookfield. 9, the Class M runner-up New Fairfield. 10, then Newtown, Glastonbury, and Bloomfield, the Class S champ, 13th on his ballot, followed by Ridgefield, then Ansonia. So that, a very interesting top 15. We were talking about it off the air. I think he's about right as far as like which teams belong where. If we're simply going by which team would win if you put them both on the field. Yeah,
Mike does a great job. I don't know about Brookfield at number 9. It's about the only thing that I would quarrel, but beyond that, it's Darien, New Canaan, to me, number 1 and 2. I kind of like North Haven at 3. I think that's a good call.
That's if I had a vote, that's where I would put them. I think I would have definitely put them third. I think they are the 3rd best team in the state. That's just they happen to run into the 2nd best.
Bill, I'll put you on the spot. What do you think?
I'm the opposite type of guy in terms of that I reward people who win titles. I don't try to project what they would have done. They're in their division. I don't want to say that, oh, well, how would they have done against a double L team? No, in their division, they've done that. So I'm prone in the top 8, in the top 10 to get the 8 finalists in there, unless one was like a big walk-in. Somehow they snuck their way through. So I had Brookfield higher. I had Bloomfield higher because oh my goodness, what speed, what athleticism, what size. That is a great football team. Would have made things difficult for a lot of teams because of what they do. So I'm the opposite that way. I don't tend to during the season. I do. I don't. Bloomfield probably wasn't in my top 15 all season. Hadn't seen them. Don't know. I watch them on highlight reels and things like that. Don't know them. But once you get there, I do it by division, and then you up the best second place, the best runner-up, which would have been North Haven, maybe up over the M champion or the S champion. And then after I get those 10 in, the top 10, then I start filtering in who the best teams are. So the 15 might be the same, but in a completely different order. I have mine higher.
So you had Darien, New Canaan 1-2,
Oh, yes.
and then then Bloomfield?
No, then I had North Haven.
North Haven, okay. And then so you had Bloomfield a little bit higher, and then Brookfield.
I think I had
higher.
Bloomfield 4,
Okay.
Brookfield 5, and Sonia, I think I had 8, because that was the second best competitive game, I thought, between in the 4 championships after
Right.
after the great game.
Well, looking at Pucci's ballot, the team that stands out to me is Ridgefield, putting him in there at number 14. That's a team that did not make the top 8 in Class Double-L. They seem to come on stronger toward the end of the season. We covered the loss to Trinity Catholic, who is not on Pucci's ballot. So that to me is the team that actually.
Yeah, I
would
had Trinity
generate the most
Catholic
conversation.
10. I had Trinity Catholic 10.
Yeah, I would have put Trinity Catholic higher, but that's an interesting call, and interesting that Ridgefield, and again, that'll come back to that whole FCAC discussion, which we'll do again later in the week. Ridgefield, the one team who was quite definitive, tweeting out on Friday that a 10-game season, more or less, their tweet should have just said hallelujah, because they felt that they got hosed, to be honest, in the
That extra
process
game,
of
exactly.
They felt that 10th game would have given them a chance to get into the playoffs. Now, obviously, it depends on who your opponent is in that 10th game. Right, they felt that a 9-game schedule, finishing 7-2, and then being jumped by a 7-3 West Haven team, they felt was kind of was a function of the 9-game season.
It was.
We need to take one more break. We'll come back and put a wrap on this Monday edition of Nutmeg Sports. Again, we'll talk a little bit about girls hockey when we come back. Very brief, and then we'll say goodbye right after this on the HAN Network.
When you experience a sports injury, you want to get better and fast. Coastal Ortho Express gives you direct access to orthopedic care quickly. Their physicians are fellowship trained in sports medicine at world-class universities and are also team doctors for area football teams. For specialized personal care of sports injuries, go to Coastal Ortho Express. Open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building, 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or coastalorthoexpress.com. Coastal Orthopedics, keeping you on the move.
Discover the Wilburton Inn in Manchester, Vermont, a 30-acre historic estate featuring a turn-of-the-century mansion with elegant inn guest rooms and 7 large private vacation homes, perfect for ski vacations and holiday celebrations. Special offer on select rooms and houses. Stay 2 nights, get the 3rd night free through Christmas Day. CNN has called the Wilburton one of the top 8 mansion hotels in America. Call 802-362-2500 or visit wilburtoninn.com for more information.
Do you do a lot of running around but get nowhere when you're buying a car? Visit Pamby Chrysler Jeep Dodge and Ram for the one-stop buying experience and stop spinning your wheels.
I'm Denise DiGregoli, the host of The Drive on the HAN Network. Join me Tuesdays for some motivational, intelligent talk with a little humor as we visit with people who live their lives mindfully. Tune in to The Drive live on Tuesdays, 12:30, here on the HAN Network.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your local destination for the best of the holidays. Shop Stewart's for the freshest produce, certified prime rib roasts, magnolia wreaths, fresh baked pies, gingerbread houses, Christmas candies, and the season's best wine and craft brews right next door at Stewart's Spirits. Shop Walter Stewart's, 229 Elm Street in New Canaan, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
You are watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. 102,000 viewers have enjoyed the HAN Network in just the last 6 weeks. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Jessica Murrin, Advertising Director, at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back with you on Nutmeg Sports for a minute or two for a Monday edition with Don Eng, Bill Bloxham. I'm Rob Adams. We have girls hockey coming up later today as we get the winter schedule off and running. That will be down at the Darien Ice Rink. We will watch, however, it will not be Darien. We'll watch the New Canaan Rams take on Guilford, coming down I-95 to pay a visit. So girls hockey should be a decent one to get things started. Guilford pretty good. New Canaan has some high hopes this year. And as we were talking off the air, Darien already off to a good start hockey-wise as they beat the East Catholic Glastonbury South Windsor Co-op 2-1 on Saturday, with Emily Giannunzio making 36 saves. Pretty good.
Not too shabby.
Impressive.
I'll sign for that day. Georgia Cassidy and Marissa Baker with the goals.
Yeah, and so looking forward to tomorrow. We'll have the results of that game, and we'll start talking about at least some of the winter sports with me and Mike Suppy hosting Nutmeg Sports tomorrow. Rob, back on the bus.
Back on the bus indeed. Got to go visit Bridgeport Central still, and we've got Greenwich to check in with, so still got a couple of stops to make on our tour, as well as Trinity Catholic, and that's how we'll wrap up. We'll get to all 17 this time. I'm very proud of that fact, that we will handle all 17 schools. We didn't get to everyone we got to everyone last time, but things didn't quite work out. But this time, good stuff. And Bill, of course, you're always welcome to stop in and join us.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get my papers out in time tomorrow to do so.
All right. Have a good show tomorrow, you guys.
You too. Have fun on the bus.
All right, we will do so. So that'll do it for Nutmeg Sports for a Monday edition. Thanks to AJ Simonowski for running the controls on the other side. For Bill Blockson and Donald Eng, I'm Rob Adams. Enjoy your day, and we'll see you tomorrow on Nutmeg Sports right here on the HAN Network. Join us for girls hockey later.